Ever felt like you're doing everything right in your retail business, but somehow the numbers still aren't making sense? Maybe you're making sales, but the profit isn't showing up. Or you dread tax season because, if we're honest, inventory makes everything feel 10 times harder. Well, today's guest is about to change that. Christyne Gray breaks down boutique retail finances in a way no one else has on the show. She's clear, she's brilliant, and she's going to show you how to put guardrails on your profit so you can stop losing money without even realizing it. Trust me, this episode you're going to want to take notes on. Let's get real. Are you a brick-and-mortar business owner that has put your blood, sweat, and tears into creating a storefront that lights you up and serves your clients really well, only to be frustrated that you're the best-kept secret in town? If you're not hearing your new clients say, "I found you on Google," then you are in the right place. Welcome. My name is Melissa Rose. I'm a mom, a brick-and-mortar business owner, and your straight-shooting visibility coach. I've cracked the SEO code to becoming the top choice on Google in my industry, and now I'm sharing the secrets on this podcast. Get ready for stories, fail-proof strategies, and practical tips to elevate your brick-and-mortar presence to the top choice on Google. Let's get real, because we're going to make your business the only option in town. Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Brick and Mortar Visibility. We are in the final month of 2025. Can you handle it? Can you believe it? Oh my word, here we are. December 1st. I'm time-stamping this. It's just flown by, and yet seems like so much has happened in 2025. For me personally, it's been a stellar year, and I am so beyond thankful. And we are hitting the last 31 days of the year here, guys. And how are you feeling? How are you doing? Black Friday was just this past week. I hope you guys had a great week with that. I hope you had a great time taking some time for you and your family. Now, some of you are having some holiday shows. Maybe you're a service-based business like me with a dance studio and you have that, performances, you have things like that. Or maybe you're in retail and you are in the throes of it. And I am so excited if you are in retail and you're taking some time for you to listen and educate yourself. This podcast is going to be super helpful for you. Now, chances are you know a business owner that is in retail, and I highly recommend that you share this with them, because our guest today is specifically for our boutique retail stores, and I'm super excited for you to meet her. Before we dive in, though, as always, I want you to go grab a social post, maybe a picture. Maybe you have some great pictures over the Black Friday weekend of people in your stores or in your studio or wherever you are for your brick and mortar, and bring that on over to your Google Business Profile. If you're not sure what I mean by that, please grab my Google Business Profile workshop. It's about 30 minutes. It takes you through step-by-step what you need to do to optimize that Google Business Profile so that you are coming up first on Google. Because when people are searching for your products or service, they want it now. And we want to be found first. And when we're found first with all the things happening on our Google Business Profile, people will walk in our doors, hand over their credit card, and you will have a client guaranteed. So to grab that workshop, click the link in the show notes here. Otherwise, if you go to Brick and Mortar Visibility, you will see the Google Business Profile workshop right there under the Work With Me tab. In today's podcast, I am so excited to introduce you to someone who explains numbers in a way that finally clicks and that you will actually remember and use in your business. Her name is Christyne Gray. She's a retail accountant who specializes in boutique retail, inventory-based businesses, brand creators, and wholesalers. And friends, buckle up. Christyne walks us through financial concepts that most accountants overcomplicate, but she breaks them down so visually, clearly, and in a way that feels like you're finally turning the lights on in a dark room. She talks about putting profit guardrails in place, understanding what it's really happening with your inventory, and how to stop the silent leaks that boutique owners often don't even realize are happening. And this is the time of the year I start getting the same question from studio owners, retail owners, and product-based CEOs. Hey, Melissa, do you know a CPA who specializes in my industry? Well, now I can say I do. The person I am going to recommend for my retail boutique people is Christyne. So if you are in retail or you know someone who is, especially heading into the end of the year and tax season right around the corner, this is one of those episodes you'll want to forward immediately. So without further ado, I am super excited to introduce to you Christyne Gray. Did you know the work you do today will shape your business 60 to 90 days from now? That momentum doesn't stop there. It ripples right into your personal life. So let me ask you, based on what you're doing right now, where are you headed? Will it be the same old thing, different day? Or are you really ready to level up? If you're shouting level up, let's make sure it actually happens. Join me and a crew of powerhouse business owners in my mastermind called Level Up, Your Business, Your Life. This isn't just another meeting. It's your secret weapon to accountability, strategic thinking, and inspiration. We meet monthly to empower each other, take bold action, and crush the goals that really matter. Want to know more? Head to the link in my bio or visit msmelissarose.com/mastermind. It would be my absolute privilege to be part of your journey to the next level. Let's make it happen together. I hope I get to see you in our next cohort of Level Up, Your Business, Your Life. Hello, Christyne Gray. Thank you so much for being on the Brick-and-Mortar Visibility Podcast. I'm super excited to have you talk all things profitability with retail, and this is newer here on the podcast. So thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
Yes, I am too. As I mentioned, we don't have a lot of guests coming on for retail, as many guests for retail, because my business is a brick and mortar service-based business. So we're going to dive into this, and I'm so happy we have Christyne with us. Before we get started, though, where are you coming in from?
I'm coming in from Florida. Sunshine, great, right? That's why you're seeing all the sunshine.
That's awesome. And you said you're from Minnesota, or you come back?
Yep. So I'm from Minnesota, raised my kids, built my business in Minnesota. And when we got to the position of being able to work from anywhere, kids raised, they've got their own lifestyles and are independent of us. We bought a home in Florida because we had been vacationing down here seasonally and bought a home. And we do go back to Minnesota every summertime.
As you should.
It's all hot down here. Love our Minnesota summers.
Yes.
It really dropped us into the best of both worlds at a younger age.
Yeah.
So you can enjoy snowbirding before most do. Yeah.
How many kids do you have?
I have two. Yep. So I've got a daughter and a son. They are both married, and I have two grandbabies. And
yay!
I know. And my kids live in, my daughter lives here in Florida near us, and my son is in Ohio. So the transition of where we live also is easier when your kids leave home.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. You are living the dessert of life right now. That's awesome. That's awesome. Congrats. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about She Profits Now. How did you get to where you are business-wise?
Business-wise, okay, so we definitely, like any other business, have evolved, right? Like gone through the evolution of stages of entrepreneurship and my desires of what I wanted this business to be. I am a degreed accountant. That's my roots. And so originally, like fresh out of college, I started an accounting practice. It grew into accounting and tax, and then gradually grew into advisory and consultative and fractional CFO work, and grew it to 7 figures per year, 7 to 10 employees. Quickly realized that I had very much so built a monster, is what I always call it. Yeah, it was a monster that I was not in love with, in that we had many different industries that we worked with. I really learned of my passion around the women-owned businesses when I got the opportunity to work with several different segments in different industries. And so in 2013, I think it was, I started to work on my exit strategy out of that particular business with the intention and the rebuild to say, okay, I'm going to sell this book of business over here, and I'm going to spin off my women-owned businesses in the boutique industry. And at that time, I was also very heavy focused on spas and salons. Mm-hmm. And so the idea was that I would spin that client base off into what is now She Profits Now, and I sold the rest of my customer base to one of my employees, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so again, just the evolution, we decided niching down was best was really truly where we wanted to be. Our purpose in business entirely transitioned to being more educational, more empowerment focused, and more holistic, meaning we wanted our entrepreneurs that we work with to look at to really see their business end to end, not just here's my financial statements every month, here's my tax return every year, and I don't know what is happening and why in between. We wanted to bring the empowerment and education into all things accounting and tax. And that's where She Profits Now is born, is really just out of my enjoyment of working with women in, like I said, the boutique retail industry, as well as spas and salons. I then, in about 2015, started stepping away from spas and salons because I quickly realized to really bring my business, She Profits Now, to the level of empowerment and education that I wanted it to be, with systems and frameworks for the business owner to use to manage their business financially, that I needed to really just focus on just inventory based businesses, or just
Okay.
businesses. So the message was always the same. The educational sources were always
Mm-hmm.
the same, and the tools that we gave them. So again, just evolution, right? Like in
Mm-hmm.
business, as entrepreneurs, we have to be willing to let the evolution happen and follow our hearts. And
Mm-hmm.
really, just my hearts and desire is what brought us where we are today. And I don't ever look back. It was niching down was the best thing that I ever did. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but you have to, yeah, kind of explore and then figure it out and explore and figure it out and bring it in. Okay, so here we are on the Brick and Mortar Visibility Podcast. What is your goal that our listeners take away at the end of the podcast? What do you want everybody to get
Well,
out?
just in general, our overall message, and especially for brick and mortar in a creative industry, and you're in an athletic industry as well as creative, right? And the arts side,
Mm-hmm.
the individuals that you work with, is that your dollars that pass through your business and the dollars that you earn and how you spend them, that should never feel scary to you, to know and understand the story that the financials are telling you, that the numbers are telling you, because it's your business story, it's your life story, it's your life's work story. And how those dollars show up in your bank account, on your financial statements, on your tax return, it is telling you everything that you need to know on how to optimize and how to capture repeated opportunities and the wins, and how to plug the holes so that you can squeeze a little bit more out of it profit wise, right? Like, we're in business to be profitable. And it women in general, and then creative and artistic women, tend to fear the dollars and the numbers. And I look at it to say, as long as, if you were to lean into the data, right? Like, it's all about the data and what it's telling you. You're going to find more creativity in your decisions than you've ever had before, because
Mm.
we can right size the dollars in our business. It gives us the opportunity to be at our most creative. And that's why I love the individuals, the women that I work with, right? Because they are creative, they are artistic, and we just find them the money to express their artistic side. And that's what I
Mm.
want your listeners to take out of this is, let's right size the dollars in the business, and then let's give you that freedom to be as artistic as you could possibly ever dream of in your business. But we have to have profit, and we have to have dollars to do so, because that's where the opportunity costs money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the
Okay.
message.
All right. So let's dive in. I kind of want you to give me some like tangible stories of like how could somebody be creative? Like what are ways of being creative? But we'll get to that later, okay? Um, what when people say know your numbers, we hear that all the time. What does that mean to you? So we have the beginning business owner, we have then our seasoned business owner, and then we have this like uber successful business owner. And it means different things to different people. So I've heard you answer this question really well. So that's why I wanted to kick off with this one.
Yeah, so know your numbers. That's where I'm going to relate it back to the dollar signs again, right? So when we talk about like know your numbers, that's so broad. No, what
Yes.
do you mean? Like, and then you hear benchmarking and metrics, and I even threw those on the table already in this conversation. So just think about it. It is all about understanding your dollars. How did you earn the dollar, right? Like, what's your best source of earning income in your business? What is the best use of your time and investment into inventory and resources in your business that is producing revenue? That's knowing your numbers, to understand how your time is valuable.
Mm-hmm.
What dollars are you bringing in for that time and that inventory investment? That's knowing your numbers. And then you can bring it down to, what's your customer worth? That's a metric, that there's several metrics around your customer's value to you, that is all about knowing your numbers. And all it is to say, I have this book of business, this, portfolio of clients, and on average they spend this with me.
Mm-hmm.
How often do I bring in a new customer, my new customer acquisition rate? How often what's my loyalty or what's my returning customer rate? Maybe it's 70% of my customers return and 30% of my customers are new. And then those returning customers, how often do they recur, right? So that's another know your numbers in your business. It's your customer data. When you really truly dig into knowing what your customers are doing, what their buying rhythm looks like, you know your numbers around your customers, the dollars they're spending, how often they're spending dollars, when are they coming in and spending dollars. That's
Mm-hmm.
knowing the numbers. And then, of course, there's the inventory side of it. If you're an inventory-based business, is really truly knowing and understanding the dollars around your inventory investment. How much am I earning in profit for every dollar that I spend on inventory? How often am I turning my inventory into profit? Meaning I buy a leotard and I sell that leotard and then I take that profit and I buy another leotard, sell that leotard. How often am I turning that dollar into profit, that original leotard investment? And what is my profit margin? Am I making double? Am I making 3 times? That's knowing your numbers. So, really, truly knowing your numbers, as broad as that statement is, it is about knowing your dollars, but it's also just about understanding how the decisions you're making in your business and how that truly affects your cash flow, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we had talked about before we got on the call, and just now, the novice versus the advanced versus the very veteran entrepreneur. It all starts with that same foundation
Yep.
is you've got to pick. What I always recommend to people is to start with knowing your numbers and understanding 1 or 2 metrics in each of your decision making areas of your business. So it'd be sales. What do I need to know about my sales and the numbers that generate the total revenue that I see every month or every year? And then what do I know about my customers? What number is most important? I would say average order value is very important, or lifetime value of that customer, very important. That's knowing a number. And then inventory. What is my profit margin on my inventory? Great place to start. And then, of course, financials. If you look at your overall financial health and financial position, what's my percentage of profit related to revenue? Maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
1%, maybe it's 5%, maybe it's 10 or 20%. That's a number that we need to know to understand if there's more opportunity that we're missing out on just by not deep diving further into the data. So that
Mm-hmm.
would be like from a very novice, like the highest level important in each of those the segments of your business. You said
Mm-hmm.
sales, customers, inventory, and financial metrics. And then when you get to more of your advanced and your novice and your advanced and more of your veteran, you expand out. You allow yourself the capacity of learning to understand more of the numbers and the metrics in the business to say sales, it's not just average order value, it's how many new customers am I acquiring? And like I said earlier, the how many returning customers do I have? What percentage is it to make up 100? Maybe it's 30% new, 70% returning. And then of that returning customer, how loyal are they to me? And are they coming back once a month, twice a month? And when do they come back? It's understanding that, again, that rhythm. So you just gradually to move yourself from the foundational aspect of knowing 1 or 2 metrics per category to knowing multiple metrics per category as
Mm-hmm.
a very veteran entrepreneur. We learn that once we allow ourselves to learn more and more of the metrics and the dollars and the numbers in our business, we quickly learn that improving 1 metric improves 3. We get the compounding effect, and that's where all of a sudden you get the power, right? There's a power punch behind it, is to say, all right, if I'm improving average order value, obviously immediately I'm improving revenue. If I improve revenue, I'm immediately improving profitability. If I
Mm-hmm.
improve profitability, I improve my ability to invest into more inventory because I've got it proven that if I have it in the studio, they will buy it, right? Or I have more profit, so now I can do a little bit more marketing. Maybe add email marketing every time I get new product in. I do email marketing. I do right like that SEO work that you coach on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the strength comes, is just layer the knowledge. And it doesn't matter, in my opinion, where you are at relative to knowing your numbers in different phases, that novice, the advanced, the more the veteran, isn't necessarily about what's your revenue level annually. It's about where's your state of mind. I really, when it comes to understanding the dollars that pass through your business, it is a state of mind stage. What stage are you in your willingness to learn about the dollars in your business? And that's the numbers.
Okay, Christine, you
That one
just
tight, didn't I?
did no, that was so good though. Thank you because okay, you broke that down so well for me to what I see are like the buckets. I see customers, sales, inventory, and then you said financials.
Financial. Yep, financial. Because financial is your profit and your expenses and the money
So
left.
so I see these four buckets at the top, but then you have little pathways under, sticks underneath them to say, okay, now you can learn more about here, and then it just grows out. And then does anybody just go, okay, forget it, I'll just work harder? Like put your head down and work harder. And then you're gonna scream at us and say, no, 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 that's not it. No, you don't have to work harder if you understand your numbers, because if you just tweak this one, it ripples back three ways. And I was just like, okay, thank you. That was, you said that so well.
So another thing that I want to elaborate on is your listeners right now, if they were to have a sheet of paper and a pen and they drew four boxes, just right next to each other,
I'm
right in a
doing it.
line,
I'm doing it.
four boxes. What you would look at is when you see those four boxes, if you wrote sales in one, customers in another, inventory in another, and then finance in another, financial. If you look at those four buckets, they're very much interconnected, right? Like it's the ecosystems, the financial ecosystem of your business. It's also the ecosystem of how you make decisions in your business every day, in your operations, boots on the ground. When you open the door and you start serving customers, you are making decisions in those four areas.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to look at your business in a very segmented but conjoined way, right? Like it's, since it is an ecosystem of decision making, it's the whole business that you are considering when you're making decisions. Just start to eyeball it as I have now little compartments that I can make decisions in. So instead of being overwhelmed by the whole picture,
Mm-hmm.
you can now say, I'm going to start to make decisions in compartment A, which is sales. Where am I winning? Where am I, where's there opportunities? What can I do differently in my business to optimize my sales metrics? And then you go, okay, now I'm going to look at the compartment of customers. Where's the value in my customer? How well am I doing at keeping and getting new customers? And you make decisions. And then you do the same with your inventory and you do the same with your finances. And all of a sudden, it's just you going, instead of me just spinning on the hamster wheel and hoping that I have profit at the end, I'm now instead going to just say, I've got four little compartments to look at, and I'm going to make micro decisions in each of those compartments. And you will have that compounding effect.
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost
Mm-hmm.
like visualizing it to say, when you see the four on paper, it's not
Mm-hmm.
so daunting as when I say it out loud and you can't
Mm-hmm.
visualize it, right? And that's the artistic side of it. It's to
Mm-hmm.
add then your creativity to go, what can I improve and how much fun can we have improving the sales metrics?
Mm-hmm.
That's the same with the rest of the compartments. Just compartmentalize your view into your business. Yeah. Knowing that they all are interconnected.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are all interconnected. There is a line going through all of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That was so helpful for me. Because okay, so I said that already, and I'm my wheels are turning because I'm just like, woo. I want to get my spreadsheet out and look at it. Okay, so what you talk about your 40-20-40 rule for managing retail. Can
Yeah.
you talk to us about that? What is that?
Cash flow rule. It is very much designed and based on profit first methodology.
I love profit first.
I know, I do too. I was Profit First certified from 2015 through like licensed Profit First certified 2015 through just this 2025. And I made the decision to let go of my licensing only because of the cost. And I had changed the iteration of it so much that I wasn't even using the Profit First verbiage, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
for the licensing agreement. And I got their blessing on it, by the way, right? Like all things, great relationship with the Profit First professionals, Mike McCullough himself, and then Ron and their entire Profit First team. But so what it is 40 is really your retail iteration of it. So not service based, but not retail. But the whole idea is that you use the same concepts. And it's going to be a very inventory based iteration. So any of your, relative to brick and mortar, any of your clients that have inventory, this rule very much applies to them with some unique to you changes to it. But when we look at Profit First, what doesn't work in just the readings of Profit First is that it's very service based. And
You're
with
right.
inventory, it makes it, and sales tax, and obligations where we are holding money that isn't necessarily our own, it makes it more difficult to apply. And so all, my 10 years of a profit first professional, I started applying and working entirely with boutiques and brick and mortars and inventory based businesses. And when I say boutiques, dance studios are boutiques, right? They truly are, because they're serving a very niche down individual customer that's very well defined and serving them to a high level of excellence. And so when I started to apply and start to change out how I was coaching cash flow and cash flow management, that's where the 40-20-40 rule came in. Is
Okay.
just need to define it, to go, what is it? Like, what metrics are you looking at? What numbers are you looking at when it comes to knowing your numbers? So 40-20-40 means that if you look at it as 40/20/40, what it means is the first 40% is your inventory. So if you have, relative to sustainable and healthy brick and mortar with inventory, if we can achieve 40% cost of goods sold to our sales of our inventory, we are very healthy. That means that we have that we are essentially at a 3-time markup on average, and we have the ability to do some discounting for sell through of inventory that we bought and didn't sell it in its season. So some discounting, right? So
Can you, for easy math,
Mhm.
let's say you make 100K, your cost of goods should be 40,000.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Yep. And so even if we loop back to that, so let's go on the full 40-20-40, and then I'll loop back to each segment.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's segmented thinking, right? So you can tell that I really do coach that segmented thinking, because once you master one segment, it does penetrate and improve the next. So 40% cost of goods sold gives you a 60% gross profit margin on your product. And so then we're trying to always protect profit. That's profit first method. So 20% would be the ideal profit margin on a high performing, best in class boutique retail. That leaves us an additional 40% for operating expenses, because the 40-20-40 is 100% total. And so when we look at it again in segments and buckets, no different than we did in knowing our numbers, and we say we need to look at our business when it comes to our cash flow and how we manage our cash flow in the 3 segments, the buckets. 40% is what I have to spend on inventory. And if all I have is 40% to spend on inventory, it forces me to really give a high level consideration to what my margins are going to be, what my markup is, and what inventory I bring in at the best pricing for profit strategy. So instead of just going, okay, I've got $40,000. So if we stick with the $100,000 and we've got $40,000 for inventory, instead of coming in and saying, I've got $40,000 for inventory, but I'm only going to do a 2-time markup, that means you only have $80,000 of sales, not 100. Right? Because you've got only a 2-time markup. So if we know that we can logically and realistically achieve $100,000 in sales in this example, and we only have $40,000 to spend on inventory, that would mean we have to shop for product that has a better margin on it, a better markup strategy on it. And 3-time versus 2-time would be the goal in this instance. So it's putting logic truly to go, if I only have $40,000 for inventory, I need to get the highest level markup that I possibly can, because I need to have the best return on investment for that $40,000 investment as possible. But I also have the potential to reach 100,000 in sales, right? Like, so yep.
Based on this little example, if we only have $40,000 to spend on inventory, we have to make sure it brings in 100K.
Exactly.
We have to make sure it gets that.
Have to.
You have to.
Means we have to buy inventory at the best cost possible.
Yes. Yes.
Which then forces us to have conversations with our suppliers.
Yep.
Forces us to look for the best deal. It really can even trickle down to when you're buying your inventory product, and you maybe have 20 of a category that you want to buy, but you only plan on buying 5. All of a sudden, you're going to buy the 5 that have the best markup, because you only have the 40% to spend. So you just instinctively lean into better buying decisions when you have a budget and those guardrails put in. And we put the guardrails through the cash flow allocation, through that 40% cash flow rule. And of course, you know, in different industries, right? So dance industry might come in and say, there's no way I can't get a 60% gross profit margin and a 40%. I always say, can is it that you statistically can't, or that you've never found a way to, or that nobody
Mhm.
tries to? So I
Mhm.
always first challenge that, can you or can't you, or have you just not tried?
Mhm.
Are you told that this is the margin?
Right, right.
And then once we truly define what is the eligible, you know, like what's the potential, if we do have to back that down, we will. Maybe
Mhm.
it goes up to 45% because it's just the industry or the business model
Mhm.
instead of 40. So there has to be some movement for our
Mhm.
unique brand, but then we still only have 100%. So are we going to take that extra from the 40 to the 45 if we find that we cannot buy what we need to with the 40%, the $40,000 in this instance? Then it comes down to, okay, where are we taking money from? Are we taking it from our middle, our profit, or are we taking it from our expenses? And that's like the 40-20-40 rule, to say that that middle of the line, that, you know, it's guardrails. So I've got 40% inventory spend on one
Mhm.
bookend. I've got 40% operating expense on the other bookend. In the very middle, I've got 20% profit. That's the 40-20-40 rule. The guardrails is on both sides of the profit. So
Mhm.
protect the profit by managing the inventory cost and managing the operating expense. So that's why I
I'm with you. I'm totally with you.
yeah,
I'm like, yes, we're protecting that profit because we
yes,
want to.
guardrails.
Yes, we have to. Okay, so just a logistic question. So with our tax account, is that coming out of our operation expense,
Tax, yeah,
setting
tax,
aside tax money?
profit, tax, and owner's pay. So your middle 20%, I define it as profit, tax, and owner's pay.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first 40% is inventory. The middle 20 is profit, tax, and owner's pay.
Okay.
And then the end is your operating expense. OPEX is what we call it in profit first.
Yep. And that would be your rent, utilities and stuff like that.
Exactly. Your payroll, rent,
Yeah.
utilities, all things that it takes to actually operate your business, but not necessarily pay you as the entrepreneur. That comes out of profit.
Yep.
So if you even look at that middle section, the 20%, and knowing that we're protecting it with the guardrails, and you think, okay, 20% of my $100,000 that I earn, that's $20,000. I've got to pay my income taxes. I've got to pay myself, and I have to have a little bit of reserve for a rainy day,
18 there, yeah.
right? When you say it out loud, that's why we protect the middle. That's why we protect the 20%. Another part of that 20%, and the reason why I don't just have like the profit first formula, is that you have a bucket for tax. I'm a tax accountant. And so the bucket for tax doesn't make sense to me, because in my younger years of profit first licensing, I used to do the bucket for tax. And then I'd find out, like, we'd figure out, like, they don't need all this money for tax. So they've been saving all this money for tax and not putting it back into their business and turning it into profit, because they were saving it for tax and they were just they maybe missed the percentage. And so, just logically, for me as an accountant, tax accountant, and business advisor, is that if we put our profit, we shoot for the 20%, whatever our percentage is, and maybe it's not going to be there today, likely, but whatever our percentage is, if we put the profit into the profit, tax, and owner's pay middle bucket, now we know that if we personally pay 20, let's just say 30% for a different number, if we
Mhm.
personally pay 30% income taxes as our effective tax rate, state and federal, we know that every dollar we put into our profit account, we have to pull out 30% for tax. So it gives us the opportunity to say, this is profit. Profit goes into a bank account, and then we transfer out or protect the tax money based on the profit and only the profit.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So you're not over investing in tax, right? Like, so it literally gives you the opportunity to say, if this is my profit, now I can calculate my tax.
Right. Okay.
More clear. There's more clarity and transparency.
Yeah.
And then I can take anything above and beyond that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So this is why we have different experts on, because of all that. And I've never heard, I can see where you're saying that, because I have the separate bucket for taxes, and it's building up, and I know I'm not going to need all that for taxes, but then it's kind of like a nice bonus back to me.
Right, right. And I like that thinking, right? Because I do like reserves. It's essentially you putting it into a savings and
Mm.
reserve. Um, and given the fact that my primary, the 40-20-40 where we apply it is primarily, heavy level inventory businesses.
Yes. Yeah.
And right away, I immediately say, if you have $10,000 in a tax bucket that is not needed, that 10,000 actually could have been, and you had the potential to sell
Yeah.
10,000
Yeah.
inventory. Depending on your inventory turn rate, how often you turn your product in dance, it's, we're going to touch on that, but in dance it's low, but in a traditional boutique, it would be 6 times. You
Mm-hmm.
just turned that $10,000 into profit 6 times throughout 12 months versus having it sit in
Right.
that's opportunity.
Right.
And that's savings. So that's where the change of the formula and how we communicate it came
Yeah.
about. Yeah,
Yeah.
with our profit first time that we had with them. Yeah.
Yeah. And that makes total sense. So that let's just weave that in. So with our dance studio owners, or some of us might have boutiques in our studio. And what did you learn when working with dance studio owners that you
That's
talked
because
about?
yeah, so for those of you guys listening, we jumped on the call and I'm just like, oh my God, when I first started learning about dance, I was just flabbergasted at the fact that you guys buy once a year. Crazy to me that you have to go to market in February and make a decision for 12 months on what you're going to buy for inventory and commit to it and follow through, right? Crazy for me because a traditional independent small retailer buys twice a year for their heavy season, and they stagger their purchases and then they backfill ready to ship. So even when it comes to the burden on your wholesalers, for the wholesalers to have to produce everything in one 12-month segment is crazy to me when they could like maybe spread it out a little bit more and like the whole industry could shift to a multiple year buying. And granted, you're always going to be heavier in the season. Like for women's fashion, boutique retail, it's going to be where they buy their heaviest level of inventory in September, like August and September, to bring them through to December, where you guys are buying all year. So my analysis on that, where I almost am disheartened for the industry, to be honest with you, is that when you have that $40,000 that we were just referring to as your inventory investment, you're only able to turn that into profit once,
Mm-hmm.
a 12-month period. Where if you were investing that same $40,000 or a fraction of it in cycles, you would have more cash in the bank, fluid cash in the bank, right? Because it's liquid, it's not sitting in inventory for a long period of time. And you would be able to turn it into revenue more often.
Mm-hmm.
And I always just think about like, oh, okay, granted, coming into August and September, you're going to have your highest level of sales, but you can't tell me daughter number 1, 2, and 3 don't want a new leotard mid-year. And where are they buying? Amazon? They could be coming to your store.
Exactly. And then I'm exactly with the studio owners, most of us have a dress code. So it's a black leotard or whatever it is. So you just need that one black leotard. I'm like, we're setting ourselves up for failure there. Like we should be like, okay, and this month it's a green leotard and next month it's a purple leotard, just like,
Industry wide, you guys have so much advantage. Yeah, I told you that I was going to Mode Market in
yeah.
February in San Antonio, and I'm going to be speaking. And there's the Boutique Hub themselves as an organization for independent small retailers and boutique businesses. They're taking over some of that educational sources. And I think there's going to start to be some different conversations happening in the industry through that education that Mode is bringing to the table, because you're going to get all of us who are like going, oh no, we got to switch this up. We can bring you revenue all year long. We want that money to be invested and reinvested all year long. And yeah, so it's going to be a
Mm-hmm.
thing. Now you get us involved in your guys' industry. We want,
I like what you're saying because yeah.
yeah.
There's money on the table for sure, for sure. All right, you guys, it is very clear that Christyne Gray knows what she's talking about, and she's broken it down so well for us. And your head is probably swimming a little bit. I have my sheet of paper with my buckets and writing out things and guardrails and all this stuff. So, Christyne, I don't want this to get too much longer because I usually try to stick around 25 minutes or so. But I want people to know who you tell us who you serve, what you do, and how you can help our retail boutique not fitness boutique
And thank you for
business.
that. So yes, so we are She Profits Now, and in addition to that, our sister company is Financially Fabulous. Financially
Oop.
Fabulous. Yeah, I know that one's my new, not new, but yeah, Financially Fabulous is the educational side, the empowerment side of our business. So if we look at the two sister companies, She Profits Now is an accounting firm, income tax preparation and planning, and sales tax firm. So it's your traditional accounting firm, but we only focus on the boutique retail inventory and or service-based businesses, right? But we know inventory-based businesses inside and out. And many of our clients, the boutique industry as a whole is starting to add service. And so your listeners fit right in that pod, right? Because boutique inventory is really looking at lifestyle and experience related selling. The boutique industry as a whole. So our She Profits Now serves entirely this industry, independent, small retailers.
I love it.
And yep, on the accounting side of it. But the story and the mission behind She Profits Now is not only to make sure that you have accurate financials every month and a tax return that has some strategy and tax savings opportunity into it, and we keep you compliant, but it's that the financials you get are actually meaningful, and they're to be used every single month to run your business, to understand where you are profiting and where there's opportunity for change. That's the whole idea, right? So that then leads into Financially Fabulous, where we take what your financial statements are telling us, and we take what your point of sale data is telling us, and we put it into a coaching framework and a data-backed decision-making framework. And we teach you how to understand, here's what the dollars are telling us as they pass through our business, the know your numbers, and here's how I make decisions with understanding the data. And how does it relate to my operation? The boots on the ground, what decisions am I making, and how does that relate to how much money I have in my bank account at the end of the month? So that's what Financially Fabulous's mission is the empowerment and the coaching and the just entrepreneurial learning education. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And we're at sheprofitsnow.com is where you'll learn about us. And again, we look at the business as just very holistic environment, and you need to take into consideration the 4 buckets that we talked about initially: the sales, the customers, the inventory, and the financial side in order to truly optimize. Yep. That's what we do.
Wonderful. I am so glad we had this conversation. This is going to be so helpful for our retail people. I have a few people already I have in mind that I want to share this with. So if you are listening and you know some great retailers in your neighborhood, in your town that need to meet Christyne, please send them this podcast to help them. And because that's one question, we're getting towards the end of the season here at the end of the year. Tax time is going to be here any second. And we're starting to think about that. I often get asked for the specific accountant for industry. That is such a thing.
It's rare.
Thing. So an accountant that specializes in boutique retail, super, super awesome, Christyne. I'm so glad you're serving that niche. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. The next time you're up in Minnesota area and you go through Hudson, if you ever do, stop by. I would love to meet you.
100%. Yes, we go right through on our.
Yes. Of course you do. Yes. It's just on the way to everything. Yes.
You'll see me. I'll be tapping you.
Please do. All right, everybody. Make sure you share, rate this podcast interview. And if you got anything out of it, please tap Christyne Gray or me on the socials, and we'll be sure to say thank you and say hello. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. And we will see you here same time, same place next week. Peace. Bye-bye.
As I get older, I have learned that taking care of myself is non-negotiable. As life gets busier and energy more precious, I found something that's been an absolute game changer, especially in my energy and focus. Meet Make Wellness, the next level nutraceuticals that are revolutionizing how I care for my mind, body, and spirit. These clean, science-backed supplements are crafted to help you feel amazing from the inside out. With powerful bioactive ingredients and a no BS commitment to transparency, Make Wellness is here to fuel your focus, boost your energy, and keep you thriving every single day. Ready to feel unstoppable? Go to the link here in my bio or head to msmelissarose.com/tools to see this product and my other top products that I use every single day.